Okay, welcome everyone. Tonight we're doing our pipes training. This is the third of the series. So tonight is presenting, so P-I-P, presenting. And if you haven't watched the first two, you need to go back and watch those because there's heaps of good information in that. Now, tonight we're hearing from a few different people that run their classes in different ways and just trying to get as much information from different people so that the idea is so that you can choose what resonates with you the best and what you like the best and make your classes your own, but still to have that basic framework. So I'll give you the recipe for the cake and then you can ice it whichever way you like. Okay, so that quote that we have on our Business Builders page, which is you're supposed to start before you're ready and before you're good at it, and that's how you get ready and that's how you get good at it. That's an Elizabeth Gilbert quote, and I love that because it really sums up the doTERRA business. It is a learn as you go. It's an apprenticeship that you learn on the go. So you don't need to know it all to start, and you learn on the go. And classes are a really good example of that because we are constantly changing, constantly refining the way we do things, and you will be doing that forever probably. So learn as you go and you'll always be tweaking. Okay, so the best way to get enrollments, and that's what we want, isn't it? We're running this doTERRA business. We want enrollments and we want supported and educated people that then we know 65 to 70% of them will reorder and will become loyal customers, which creates our residual income. So enrollments are important. And the best way to get enrollments is to run classes just because it's cost effective, it's time effective, it's
educates people.
It educates more people in mass amounts, and 4 to 10 people is a good number to have in a class if there's only one presenter. And to get the maximum bang for your buck, classes are the best way to get enrollments. Although we do know that one-on-ones, you can definitely build to diamond and blue diamond doing one-on-ones. Karma says it gets people exactly. So you can don't worry if you're not if you feel like you're not good or not ready at classes. You can do one-on-ones and that's fine. And if that's the way you want to run your business, definitely fine. But just be aware that it's going to take a little while longer and it's going to take more of your time. Did you want to chime in, Karma?
No, I was just correcting the spelling, sorry.
Okay, so the other thing about classes is the close is so much easier because you're not just sitting across the table with one person trying to do your close, you're doing it to everyone. And there is that fear of missing out. People will start filling in their forms, people will see that other people are filling in their forms and they will start to get enrolled. Whereas across the table, one-on-one, your close has to look a little bit different. And it's probably not as much of a close, and a lot of people will, depends, it's something you master. But I find that closing in a class is heaps easier. So the idea of this little chat is to go over presenting, and that looks like a lot of different things. So we're going to speak to a lot of different people, but some very basic stuff, tips to help you along the way is to use your oils. So spearmint is the oil of confident speech and lavender is the oil of verbal communication. So make yourself up a roller blend and use your oils. There's definitely, I find a massive difference when I'm using my oils like Balance, Peace, Copaiba, Spearmint during or before a class. They really work. So I don't know why I'm amazed at that, but it just makes such a difference. So when you actually use your oils, it makes a big difference. Except that your first few classes will be average and that you will get better.
Well, they don't have to be, but they can.
They don't have to be, but generally you're going to get better and better and better. And you'll look back at the beginning and go, but this is, like we said, it's a learn as you go thing and you're always tweaking Know your audience. So know their top health priorities and gear the class towards those people. You don't need to run like a robot and read off the form and do it cookie cutter every single time. I know in the beginning I did find comfort in that, knowing what I was going to say and just kind of spewing it all out, and I'd get to the end of the class and I'd be like, it's done. But now I know that what works a lot better is if you slow down, if you pause, use pauses, they're really effective. And if you think, what do these people need to hear right at this very point in time? Like, what do they need to hear right now? What is something valuable that I can say? Because quite often, and I know I've had to rein this in, you say too much, people don't hear it. You're much better off saying something really important that is relevant to that point in time. And tell stories, tell lots of stories. Anchor, now this is something I learned in Women's Speak, anchor your story in time and space. So instead of spending 10 minutes setting the scene of this is what I used to do, I mean, I'm still mastering this too, but Casey Baker from Women's Speak used this example. So when Oprah did that amazing speak, I think it was at the Golden Globes, where she stood up and she collected her award, and she didn't have much time to talk, but she gave this and I'll put it in our files so you can listen to it. But she started off saying something along the lines of, I imagine a little toddler sitting on the linoleum floor staring at the TV, and it was whatever year. So she anchored her story in time and space. She didn't have to say, back when I was a baby, this is what, we were really poor and we lived in this old house and the TV was on and I used to hear these, I was exposed to this, that and the other. She just started her story and anchored the story in time and space. And it's a really good way to save time, but also to get your message across. So when you know what stories you are going to start with, try and think of that. Try and cut your stories down, because you really want to get your workshop or your class done in 45 minutes to an hour. And stories sell. So you want to get your repertoire of stories and write them down and know them and be able to tell people in a succinct way. So people buy why you do it. They don't buy because of what you do. So they don't, generally people don't buy because you're selling oils. They won't buy off you. But if they feel the passion and they know why you're doing it, because it's helped your family, because of this, that, or the other, that's what will get them to part with their money. So your passion will be what helps you enroll. So share your passion. I'm constantly just trying to rein my anxiety in workshops, and I stumble and I mix up my words and I'm not as eloquent as I would like to be. But the important thing is that my passion comes across. And my fear of public speaking and my fear of talking to strangers and things like that is outweighed by my need to share these amazing products. So it's too important not, what am I trying to say? It's too important not to be sharing them, to let the anxiety hold you back. Do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, probably just going back to why people buy things. I mean, they do that because they have an issue, and then you come up with a strategy to solve that issue and a proof of how it's happened before. So that's something that we do a lot at work. It's called Issues, Strategies and Proofs. And it's really key to people understanding why they need a certain thing.
And that's what, in the new guides that doTERRA, the Empowered Success guides, they talk about being a solutions provider. So that comes back to that.
And it's not all about just selling someone something just for the sake of it. We've got to sort of take a step back and look at this and go, we're actually helping these people with a problem. So yes, okay, they're buying a product. That's fantastic. But at the end of the day, we're helping them. We're solving a problem for them, whether it's a health problem, whether they want something to use chemical-free cleaning or gardening or whatever it might be, or in their cooking. We're giving them a product that they need, and we're telling them why they need it.
And that comes back to knowing your audience. So when you arrive at your venue, at your host's house, arrive early. So arrive at least 30 minutes prior so that you can set up. And then people will turn up early. They'll generally turn up 15 minutes early, and then you've got time to get to know your audience, to give them an oil experience. You know, you might put a drop of wild orange and peppermint in their hand. Maybe you strike up a conversation. Try to make them feel comfortable and try to become friendly with them. So don't just be like sorting your paperwork and shuffling your pens and making sure everything's nice. Like, have that done so when they come in, you can use the minutes before the class to build friendships, to give them an oil experience, to chat about them. So if they're asking you questions, just try and bring it back to them and, you know, make people feel comfortable. I think that's the main thing, is to build that friendship, to become likable in their eyes, to make them feel comfortable. Then they'll feel less that you're trying to sell to them. And like Darren said, be a solutions provider. So if you know their pain points, like there's no point talking about baby bottom sprays and kids getting to sleep if you're presenting to a group of uni students. You'd be a lot better off talking about study blends and how to get a good night's sleep and, you know, focus and hangover relief and I don't know, whatever. But the idea is to know your audience. So if you just waltz in there and you haven't chatted to everyone and you're like, right, let's get going, you are already on the back foot. One thing about workshops I will say is try to keep alcohol out of the situation. So if it's at someone's house, I've had some doozies over the time of when you rock up and you're setting up and people are already on the drink, or the champagne comes out during the workshop. It just never, I mean, I'm not anti-drinking or anything like that, but it never goes well. It never, ever, ever goes well. It's either wasting your time, no one buys and they're too busy chatting to each other, or they buy way too much and the next morning you get all these messages saying, what did I buy? I want to cancel my order. Or even worse than that, you know, we had one where a lady hadn't been drinking for a while. This was her night out without the kids, and she was on the bourbon and cokes, and we were giving her lots of oily experiences, and then the next day she was violently ill. We all know what that was from, but she was blaming the oils. It's clearly not that. Anyway, so alcohol and oils workshops do not mix. Just say to the host, when I finish my presentation, then you can bring the alcohol out. I know it's a very tricky thing to say, but if you have that straight up, like, I just don't have alcohol at my workshops, you know, and if they want it to be a big booze up, then maybe that's not the time to do the workshop. Another thing about workshops, and this will come to a head when you have alcohol involved, is objections. You're going to get objections at workshops all the time. But when there's alcohol involved, you get a barrage of them. So the key to, and we'll do a separate training just on objections, I think, but the key to it is don't argue. There's nothing that you need to prove to anyone. All you need to do is show them a different way. You don't need to prove that they're wrong and you're right. Just always have a smile on your face, be solid in your belief, and if you don't know the answer to something, you just say, I don't know the answer to that, and I'll find out and come back to you. Or quite often it's around the network marketing pyramid scheme thing, and you can just say it's not like that. It's not a pyramid scheme, but you obviously know a little bit about that. Can you tell me about it? So always get them to speak. You don't need to be the one begging or justifying or anything, and be solid in your belief. So that comes with personal development. Don't be hurt if people don't want to get oils. That's fine. Quite often it's not a no, it's just a not yet, and that's okay. They just haven't had enough experiences. It takes on average 5 to 7 touches, experiences, people to recognize the brand, people to show interest for that person to want to part with their hard-earned money to get some to get a starter kit or get essential oils, hey? So don't be hurt by the no's, just celebrate the no's, because no's are good. It means you're one step closer to a yes. So the basics of running a workshop, this is just some notes I wrote today. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't have to get all fancy pants. You don't need PowerPoints. Just use your Empower Kit. And this week, from now on, whenever you buy that through the back office, it will come as the Nature Solutions booklet. You'll still get your wild oranges. So we will do a whole separate training on that Nature Solutions booklet. But keep it simple, keep it duplicatable. And as much as it, and I mean, I've been a sucker for this, jewelry workshops, cleaning workshops, this workshop, that workshop, all these fancy workshops, because that's what I'm interested in. But actually, if you want enrollments, Essential Oils 101, Intro to Essential Oils, whatever you want to call it, Essential Oils for a Healthy Home, these are the workshops, the basic workshops that get enrollments. Those other workshops or classes are for nurturing your team, building community, that sort of thing, for after they've got their oils. Like, keep it simple, seriously, super, super simple. And yeah, just use those alternative classes to support your team. You don't need to know everything. You need to keep it duplicatable. Don't try to be the local scientist or doctor. I know because of my background, I use a lot of medical lingo, which is it's not duplicatable, and it's not a good thing. Always share why you're doing the business. So introduce a business opportunity without being one of these skanky network marketing people that are like, what do they do? Like financial freedom and mum boss and whatever, hashtag this. And and you see them on social media, you can't even actually work out what they're selling, but it's, they're leading with the business. And we don't lead with the business, but we do need to, inform people that there is a business opportunity there. And we also, I think the best way to do that is to let them know why you are doing it. So share your experience, how you got into the business and why you reckon it is the best business model out there. The compensation plan is awesome. And every other we know that in the network marketing world, every other network marketing company is looking at doTERRA and trying to work out what is so different. But we know, and we had this conversation with everyone that went to leadership, we know what's different about doTERRA is that it's anchored firmly in the culture. And that's not something that these other network marketing companies can just roll out. Like Isogenics have got essential oils now. They can't just roll out doTERRA culture. They don't have that. And I think our business opportunity is incredible. And there's people in our community that are just waiting and begging and wanting something like this. So you really do, just as much as you're there to introduce the oils and to get the oils into people's hands, definitely always mention the business and why you're doing it and how awesome it is.
Only needs to be a 1-minute conversation about the business, really. It's just to throw it out there, just to introduce people to it. It doesn't need to be a detailed run through of the compensation, or it shouldn't be.
No.
Anything other than just a sentence to say there is an opportunity here. If anyone's interested, talk to me later.
Yeah. Karma, can you add your bit?
Sure. Have you unmuted me? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just really, making that personal touch, like you said, when people arrive at classes and things, and really getting to know your people. I know that's how I have gained most of my enrollments, because I've made those connections either via Messenger, on social media, and asked people that I know to workshops, and also, obviously face to face in the salon. I have the benefit, I suppose, of inviting people all the time and making those connections, and you can guarantee they mightn't enroll straight away, but they definitely will. I did a workshop in Hobart. I went to a workshop in Hobart that somebody else did. Kate Dixon, her name is, she's from Tasmania, and I'm friends with her. And she actually, really good thing that I love she did, and I'm going to do it at mine now. She got everyone to write down 3 things that would help them. and then she asked them in a very compliant way if they would like support with that, and they actually took the oil. She pulled out the oils that she thought from the Nature Solutions kit that would support them, and then she held them together and then took one away and one away, so they were sort of smelling what the finished aroma would be, and she made them a roller bottle there and then. And it was a really simple way of getting people involved with the oils, also showing them how they can support them. And then and then she made obviously the roller bottles there, and so they knew how easy it was to make a roller bottle. So
Yeah.
and she only did it for 2 people, so it's not like she did it for everyone. She just said, would anyone like to volunteer and share? And obviously they have to volunteer because their problems mightn't be something they want to discuss with everyone.
Yeah. And I think getting people involved, getting oils on them. So a drop of oil in the hand, you might do Easy Air or Wild Orange and Peppermint, breathing it in is a really good way. But there should be more. And when we do the Nature Solutions handout, how to run that class, we will go through that. But, putting oil in people's hands so they can experience it aromatically. Then putting a squirt of coconut oil in their hand and some ice glue so they can rub it on their sore knee topically. And then having either some bliss balls or some On Guard apples or water, lemon water there, that they can taste it internally as well, and trying to give them as many oily experiences as possible. And that's why before the class is a good way to, up the ante there, to give them, more experiences that suit that person. And making rollers, getting them involved in that, definitely. Now, Jane, we're throwing to you next, I think. I'll unmute you.
Hi everyone. Hi girls. Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about my tips for workshops, because I've had mixed success, of course, like everybody. I just wanted to, I guess, say that half the battle is your own mental mindset, like when you get setbacks, which is inevitable because it's the nature of the beast. And that's what I say to my new builders, that it's just the nature of the business that we do, that you're going to have really big ups and downs. The hardest probably thing I've found is getting bums on seats, like all of us have found that, I guess. So I've had a workshop at the local cafe where I invited generically, I say generically, I mean that I've invited them through Messenger, and I've just sent the basic invite to everybody and just gone, tagged the person and sent it. Not a personal message. So I've sent the invite out, and I thought, oh yep, I'll just send it to all these people, and I know hundreds. I've got hundreds on my phone. So I've just sent it all out and sat there at the cafe and expected people to turn up. And I had this beautiful big display out the front where everybody basically walked past, and I had friends walk past and go, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing a workshop. And I was all happy about it. And then I sat there and the time ticked on and nobody turned up. And I felt so embarrassed and so humiliated that I actually packed all my stuff up as quick as I could and put it all in the car and disappeared. I didn't even say goodbye to the staff at the shop, at the cafe. I was so embarrassed. And next day they said, where did you go? And I said, oh, nobody turned up. So I was so embarrassed that I disappeared. And they felt sorry for me, and I felt sorry for me. And I learnt from that. I thought, it's not really, even though nobody turned up, it's still not enough to feel that embarrassed about. I didn't have my mindset that would possibly happen to me. And I think that's something that I learnt from that you have to be prepared that this could happen, that you're going to sit there, and are you just going to feel like a fool, or are you going to take it on the chin and, I guess, somehow turn it around and talk to the staff, or I don't know, just not be so mortified. Because the very next week I kept going. I managed to get myself together and get my head around that feeling. And I did a workshop maybe 2 weeks later, and I had 26 people turn up to the same cafe. Go figure. And what I learned from that was, it's not about me. It's about the fact that some people, we don't know what's on in the area. There could be football on, there's a big football match over there, and there's the curry festival over there. And unless, you can do your research, but you still don't know everything. And everyone's got their individual circumstances. Someone gets sick. So it was just luck of the draw. But having 26 people 2 weeks later was just as bad as having none, because it was so overwhelming. You might remember that, Jess. You were there? No, there is no Jess.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I had myself on mute.
That's all right. But it was funny in a way. From one extreme to the other, I was overwhelmed either way. But I think that the trick is to be able to brush yourself off from any experience and be able to make the most of the situation. So we signed a few up at that next workshop, which made up for the bad one. But I think individual inviting as well made a big difference, rather than just generic. You have to actually put a little message. Hi, Dana, I've got this workshop on. I've got a lot of stuff that would help your business or your situation. And put a little personal blog with the invite. I think that really works. It's not just about, and then they feel that personal care. And that's the other message that I have, because I'm lucky enough to run my own business, massaging, and people come to me, but I still have to show a personal interest in every single one of them, what their ailment is, what their problems are, listen to everything they say. And I probably, if I was to choose, I would choose the one-on-one situation. But then to be able to bring that into the workshop situation, you've got to make that personal contact and make them feel personally that you care about their situation, not just about sales. We really got to get away from, even though we are selling a product, predominantly we want them to get value. And I think sampling is really good, because it takes that onus off us trying to get something from them. We're giving to them and saying, we want you to benefit from this. If you don't benefit, well, we've got nothing to gain from you, or to, you know what I mean? I just think being able to give them an experience and saying that we're trying to help them, it gets them over that salesy thing that we're running a business.
Mm.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's all about helping people, isn't it, Jane? And if they buy stuff, well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, and if it doesn't help them, well, it doesn't help them.
Yep.
And I've seen that in some of my team. They say, try this oil, it may help. And I love that, because you're not promising them that it's going to help them. You're saying it may help. They have lost nothing to try it, but it shows that you care enough about them to offer your services and your oil. And I mean, we know the product's brilliant, and inevitably it does help them, and they come back and they go, what is that stuff? How can I get it?
Yeah.
So I think that's what's getting people to the workshops a little bit more. I prefer, of course, to do workshops at people's houses, because then you don't have to worry about getting people to your house. I've only done one of those. I felt really uncomfortable having them at my house, in the sense that I've got to do all the inviting, all the hospitality. So I'm more inclined, if I'm going to organise it, I'll do it at a cafe. Let the cafe owners do the coffee and the catering, and at least I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, awesome. And I think the other thing is, I love it when you say this, you give someone a sample, you say this may help, and then follow up with them. If it didn't help, then there's always another oil they can try, because we know that everyone's body is different.
Yep.
And you're the master of that, Jane, of getting oils onto people so they can try it?
There was another thing that I thought really works really well that I accidentally stumbled upon, is that if you invite an enthusiastic team member, like I invited recently Amanda Howard. She wanted to come, she wanted to learn a bit more, but she was the best thing since sliced bread. Or even Tracy Langhorne, who's really bubbly and really happy and really excited about the oils. They basically sit there and cheer you on and finish the sentences, and they'll pick up the slack. If there's somebody that has got a problem or not on board and you can't get to them, well, they take that up, and they feel really privileged to be able to help you out. And you know, they talk about their experiences. It's just been really, really encouraging having a team member there that supports you.
Yeah.
And you know, I've gifted them an oil, and they've loved that as much as I've loved having them. So it works both ways.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jane. Katie, can we...
No worries.
Thanks, Jane, so much. You're awesome. Katie, can we throw to you?
Am I off? There we go. So this month was the first month I kind of trialled a bit of everything. So I had 3 or 4 workshops at home. I had I reached out to a couple of my team and family and went, hey, it's about time that you did a workshop for me, which you can do with family. And I did a public one. So I got a bit of a mixed reaction with a few of them, but it was really, really interesting. The good thing about having it at home is you're not dragging everything. You're not having to, it's all there for you. I've always put that off because I'm renovating. There's always an excuse. Oh, it's not tidy enough, or, you know, I need a nice little area to do it. But that's just a block. That's just another block that, you know, you can put up. So much easier. You do have to do all the inviting yourself. But I think it was well worth it. And to have those set up, I will continually have those set up every month now. And even if I had one that no one turned up for, and that's, you know, it's always awkward. It's something that I've never thought I would do, is to be hosting workshops anyway. So I never thought I really had anxiety until that 15 minutes when you're waiting for somebody to come. It's really, really hard. But then you just flip it and go, okay, well, I can do wellness packs. I can do samples up. I made a little bit of a list of the people. I went on and had a look at who was interested, added them as contacts, touched base with them and said, look, I've got another workshop coming up. So you just take that time. You just have to flip it. Otherwise, it's just going to be creating another block for you next time you're going to do it. And it's a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster ride. And it's very easy to get those blocks up. Having them at home as well, just keep it nice and simple. Like, I only just put one lot of muffins on or something, have a jug of water. I don't make it too complicated. You put on a huge spread, they're going to stay for 4 hours. And the next time you're going to book it, you're like, wow, 4 hours out of my day. Just keep it nice and simple. With my public workshop, I've done 2 myself. Again, don't drag everything. One, I took everything. So I wanted it to be perfect and have everything so pretty and have all the displays there. You just have to simplify it, because I'm finding that I'm getting more people to the public workshops, which is really, really good. So I'll keep those up very regularly. I'm very lucky that I have an avenue. I have an aunt that has a collectibles antique shop, and it's win-win. She advertises that on her Facebook page. So she's got 1,800 likers on her page. And I had about 33 people interested that didn't turn up. But that's, again, 33 people is huge. And that's, again, 33 people I can now have on my contact list. So when I have another one, I can invite them personally as well. That was really, really good. But definitely keep it simple. What else? I got notes. Probably don't over prepare. You can be so stuck on the preparing. You have to be a bit adaptable. I thought I tried to have everything aligned so that I knew exactly what I was saying. I used to read off the sheet, and now probably about the 5th, 6th workshop in, I kind of popped that down and made myself kind of wing it a little bit, you know, just go with the flow. And the more adaptable you are, the less pressure there is on yourself. Because what happens if things don't go to plan, like on the sheet, you're not having that freak out mode. Probably, again, if you're having them elsewhere, and if it's in a public, I'm very lucky, again, my auntie's shop, I do it at closing time. So she sort of finishes up for the day, and we have the whole venue to ourselves. So I don't have people walking past and things like that. So it's whoever's invited comes. So we don't have that, you know, if you're at a cafe, you don't have that pressure of people walking past looking at you. But then you don't have those people just walking in as well. Privately is really, it is the way to go. So tap into your team to see if they want workshops regularly, because it just takes the pressure off you to go, okay, well, you're doing the inviting, you're doing everything. It just takes that little bit of pressure off. Again, keep it simple. I've seen someone, I take a lot to my workshop still. I've seen someone take, you know, it's the site. Yeah, yeah, Jess, I do the same. I've seen someone just take a little box, like this teeny little box, and they just unpack it and off they go. I'll get that. No, I won't get there, but I'm going to try. But the same thing, you just simplify it. If you can just have half a dozen muffins, your top 10 oils. If you take too much, you're giving them too much information, and they're just going to get way more confused. That's probably about it. And again, to keep them in the loop, I have to work on this. I'm being good. I'm setting the dates, setting the workshops. It's just that interim, trying to get them to turn up. I'm getting a little bit interest, but to keep them interested and making them say from interested to coming. Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Awesome.
Keeping it simple, Katie. I know Jess has had trouble when she opens the oil bag up and there's 50 or 60 oils in there, and everyone's going, let's sniff this one, let's sniff that one, and they just get so confused. And at the end, when they come to order, they go, I don't know what I want, I just sniffed too many oils. If you just keep it to those top 10 oils, you're not going to confuse them.
I used to have the oils. All my oils have to have all of them, just in case I got questions about one of them that I didn't take. And then I'd have the skincare range, and then I have the cleaning range, and then it would make me throw to those throughout the workshop, and it was just too much.
Too much, yeah. And the new Nature Solutions handout is really geared towards that. So we can still concentrate on the top 10 oils, but we can then bring in the toothpaste, the Claricalm, and talk about the hand soap and things like that. And I think that's a really good way to sort of have the best of both worlds. Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Sandra, you're up next, I think.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you?
Cool. Good, thank you. Hi, everybody. So it was really interesting listening to everybody talk, because I feel your pain when people don't show up and stuff like that, but I guess it's just part of it. So I was just thinking, I feel like personally my workshops have improved a lot. Not necessarily I'm getting like heaps more enrollments, but just I feel like it's they just flow better. I feel more confident and just, I don't know, just owning it a bit more. I don't know how to explain it, but I listened to GoPro on audiobook. Seriously, it really helped me just to get my head in the right space. Basically, GoPro is about Go Professional and what that entails. And so even just one thing with him is, talks a lot about confidence and being a confident person. So for me, I used to sit down at the table and do the workshop. I don't do that anymore. I stand kind of not awkwardly, like, you know, up in front of everyone, but I just sort of stand because it shows that you're sharing something. You're in front of everyone. You're leading, you know, and so own it really, and be confident in that. Don't try and shrink down, you know, but just for me it really helped. I had to just don't sit, stand, and even if I'm leaning a little bit, that's okay, but just don't sit down and be on everyone's level, but be the leader. So that really helped me, I guess, to just be more confident. I followed a guy on it's YouTube, I think, benbalden.com. I think he's a wellness advocate, but he just has a really short video on how to do a workshop really like simply. And so I actually really took his information and nutted it out, and because I wanted to try and rein my workshops in a little bit so they weren't scattered and long. And so I used his tips a bit, but basically you start with, you know, engaging, like you were saying, Jess, before. Like, don't be fiddling around with your work, but just start talking to people. And it comes back to confidence. It's like, just be confident. Go and talk to people, you know, just be nice. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to talk to people and just build relationship before you actually start. So that's one thing that I'm really try to do before the workshops. Just talk normally, be about people, the people there, and relationship building. So he talks a little bit about, you know, engaging by just sharing your story. So yeah, for me, and I think you said before, Darren, about throwing out the business opportunity. So when I talk about how I got involved in oils, and then I just throw it out there on why I decided to do it a business, because it fitted in with my lifestyle, blah, blah, blah. So I just throw it out real quickly, and then, you know, keep going. So that's my sort of intro. And then I just get into the oils, and I'm trying to keep the oils part, top 10 oils part, down to 20 minutes. So it's a bit of a push, but it sort of just keeps me focused. So I try and spend about 20 minutes on that. And I was thinking before, what's actually really helped me versus when I first started, I think, is actually using oils helps you just to be able to, like, Katie, you said you'd got rid of the sheet, and I understand that. You just put the sheet down and then you just kind of wing it a bit. And I think you can wing it a bit when you actually live in your oils, when you're using your oils and you know what you do with them. And so you're not trying to come up with something, because you're actually just talking from your life, you know. So I try and keep that a little bit short, not too long, 20 minutes, half an hour. And then I actually just say at the end of that, you know, if you want to go get a cup of tea, or that's the end. Oh no, sorry. At the end, I explain how they can get oils, and then after I explain, and then I say, and that's it. So you've got your paperwork there, blah 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 blah. But if you would like to go and get a tea or coffee, this is how I do it. If you would like to go and get a tea or coffee, if you're on a toilet break, that's actually the end of my presentation today. And now we're going to do some DIYs. So this is what I do. And then I just finish it off with doing, you know, 3 or 4 DIYs. But I actually only make 2, but I have like maybe 2 there that I have made. So I can just show them, and then they ask questions. Oh, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Oh, what's in that one? Blah, blah, blah. So they don't really go. They sit and they keep asking questions. So it's my new way, and I really, really feel good about it. I felt it feels more confident. Like I just way more relaxed. It's short and sharp. People get the information, and yeah, I think for me it also it takes the pressure off. I've taken the pressure off myself to try and get enrollments. It's like, well, you know what? It's a quality product. I'm going to educate these people and give them the option. And if they want to purchase, then they can. If not, I'll follow them up anyway in an email, and then it might just be over time. But not trying to sell, but it's an awesome product, and so people will or will not instantly get that. You know, some people will instantly. So I've taken the pressure off trying to get an enrollment and not be down if I don't get an enrollment. You know, obviously you want enrollments, but not be down about it if it's not an instant success, if that makes sense. And then after the workshop, sorry, you go. Do you want to say something?
No.
Okay, so then after the workshop, just, I guess, doing a little bit of a evaluation on what I think was good, what wasn't, what worked, what didn't, what I would change each workshop. So, I mean, we know over time you get a bit more, you get better at it in different ways. So, yeah, and then just pick it apart a little bit, not too much, but just work out, well, what was really good, what worked well, and what didn't. So, yeah, and I think, you know, sometimes with keeping inviting people, sometimes people don't want to, or you think, oh, they're just fobbing me off or they're not coming, whatever. I just wrote a thing down before. I had a lady, she fobbed me off like 4 times. And then eventually I thought, oh, maybe she's just, you know, not interested. But she actually said, no, I'm interested. I just can't get there. And so anyway, finally she came to one and, you know, I didn't even share too much. And then she bought a home essentials kit. So I don't know. And I was thinking, oh, 4th time, I could have just gone, you know what, see you later. It's not going to happen. But, you know, she actually like bought a home essentials kit straight away. So, yeah, anyway, so I think that's pretty
Awesome.
much. I think confidence is a huge factor. Just owning it and just going, you know what, this is my business, this is what I do, and I love what I do. I love the product, and if you want it in your world, I'll help you get it.
Yeah, awesome. I love that, and I loved it when you said you have to be using them, and it comes easy to you and it comes more naturally. You can go off the cuff a bit more if you're using your oils. That's so true. Yeah. Awesome. And you did a market the other day, and how did that go presenting to people when you have a much shorter time frame to present to them?
Yeah, we learnt lots. So it was actually the first time my husband and I have worked together, probably ever. So that was interesting. But he's learning a lot as well. So it was very different because you have such a short, like I said, you know, time with someone to connect. I had one enrollment, but it was a lady I knew who knew I was doing the market. So she did come to have a look and have a chat. So I don't really know what to tell you what I learnt so much.
It's definitely a different way of presenting, isn't it? And it's
way different, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing when you first do your first classes, you're just tweaking and refining. And so this is pretty much a whole new format of presenting. Yeah. So you're just tweaking, you know, you just have to give yourself that grace to go, it's my first one, I'm tweaking and refining. Totally. It's all good. Yeah.
And we knew that with the markets, we're like, okay, you know what, we're just going to learn because it's the first one. And I've actually wrote something down before just about the fear of fear of people and rejection. And just, you know, I was listening to Jane when she said that before, just mortified. But I understand that. But then you just, you know, when your why becomes bigger and you're like, I don't care, I've got a goal, then it just, I don't know, it's like it just doesn't bother you as much. And you just go, okay, it's part and parcel of it. So suck it up, move on. That's okay, you know.
And do the personal development work, which you're obviously doing with GoPro and, you know, finding people like Ben Bolden who's awesome.
Ben Bolden, yeah. So there's another lady I listened to recently, really helped me. Her name is the 5-second rule, Mel Robbins.
Yep.
And so she says when you're dealing with a stressful situation, which obviously 15 minutes before a workshop can be all the markets for me on the weekend. She says you can flip it by saying, I'm excited, because your brain is actually trying to deal with, like, there's a stressful situation, so it's waiting for you to get a bad message. So, but it's the same emotions as if you're excited. So I've actually just started to say, you know what, I'm so excited about this workshop, even though I'm nervous. I'm so excited about this workshop. It's going to be awesome. So excited. And then your brain actually relaxes and you actually calm down, instead of, if you're nervous, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, and you get worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've started to do that, and I just go, I'm so excited. It's awesome. You know, I get this opportunity to just share with these people. And it's actually really bizarre, but it works. So anyway, try that one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Kerwin Ray says his mantra is, this is simple, this is easy, this is fun. So it's similar sort of concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is simple, this is easy, this is fun. It just puts your mindset
At ease, yeah.
Thanks, Sandra. Jess. Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I'll try not to double up on what everyone else has said.
Yeah, sorry.
As everyone's been talking, I'm like, oh, tick that one off the list, tick that one off the list. So I was extremely nervous when I co-hosted my first workshop with Jess. I was standing in front of only 6 people, 3 of them who I knew very well. And I was sweating profusely, and it was freezing cold, so I shouldn't have been sweating. Super nervous, didn't really know what to do. And then Jess sort of threw it to me, was like, would you like to start? And I was like, nope, I'm good. And reflecting back on that afterwards, like, as we got into it, it was fine. I started, saying bits and pieces here and there. But it came down to the fact that I felt like I didn't have all the information there straight away in my brain about the oils. Whereas when I look back on it now, it's definitely there. And it's just the age old saying, practice does make perfect. Not perfect, but as close as we can get. So I used to always perform, like, singing on stage. So now, and I'd always get nervous before doing that. So I just sort of think of my workshops as a performance as such, but using those nerves, and as Sandra said, sort of they've been like, I'm really, really excited. And so that's how I do it now. And it does come off, and people always like, wow, you're just so passionate about it. And it's like, that's how I sort of try and put it across now. So I find that helps. Definitely the alcohol thing. I've had a couple of doozies with that as well. But it does come down to just talking to the host beforehand and just, like, letting them in on how you want things to look, and setting your intentions. Setting your intentions is super important with anything in life, especially with the way that you want things to go. And it definitely does help. I had a workshop with about 18 people, and they were all drinking before we even started. And as soon as I walked into that environment, I was like, this is not going to go down well. Like, I just knew it straight away. And then, I spent all this time, and everyone was asking all these questions and really into it. And then by the end, it was just like 2 separate groups chatting to each other. And I was just sort of standing there going, okay, so I'm wasting my time. That's how I felt. But we learn from these things. So yeah, definitely talk to the host, and if you don't already have that, camaraderie with them, then give yourself a bit of extra time beforehand. That definitely helps. And allow yourself to be vulnerable as well. I think if people can see that you're being honest, and that you're truthful, and that you don't necessarily know everything, like, you're not a book, you don't know all your scientific facts, but that you just know what's important for you and how it's helped you. That's definitely one to think of. And just the passion about the oils and the company, and it will come across. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome, Jess. Yes, so true. I love it. loved it when you said, you know, don't be a book. Be vulnerable, and it's okay to say, I don't know the answer to that. And it's actually better to say, let's look that up together. I don't know. I have a feeling it's tea tree, but let's just look it up. And even if you do know it, because after using oils for many years, you're going to know it. Chances are you're going to know it. But it's always good to empower that person with the knowledge that you don't have to know all this, and you're not going to walk away with a kit and download a whole book into your brain. You're just going to use your resources. And yeah, so good. Thank you. That's awesome. And Jess, you have been so successful in just doing the action steps and doing the workshops and doing the work and doing the personal development. Like, you are such a good leader. You're like wise beyond your years or your rank or whatever you want to call it. You're awesome. So thank you for sharing your insight.
My pleasure.
Anyone else want to add anything? I think that's been a really good, do you want to add anything, Karma? It's been a really good overview. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I agree with Jess. Just let yourself be vulnerable. Let yourself be real, because if they see the passion and the love that you have for the product and for them, it's not, sometimes it's actually nice for them to see the flaws in you, and that it's not a flawless little presentation. It's something real from your heart. I think that's really nice. And then it's also duplicatable. If you've got someone there that's thinking, maybe I could do this, even your host, then they can see that it's duplicatable, that I could do that. I can stuff up as well as Jane can, but get the message across that peppermint opens your airways and peppermint helps your muscles. And that's really all we've got to do, is get that message across. However raw you are, however nervous you are, you can even say that. I'm super nervous. I feel really scared because I'm not used to speaking. And people love that. People go, oh, I could really relate. You've got to get people to relate to you and relate to your experiences. I had something else I wanted to say. Yeah, don't take anything personally, because a lot of the time it's not about you. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting your message. They're rejecting the oils for the moment, if they are rejecting at all, or maybe they don't have enough money, or maybe they're worried that their husband won't let them do this. So don't ever take it personally. Just, brush it off and move on. And that person might be one of those people that takes 8 times to be touched by oils. They might wait till they see it in a newspaper that the oils have helped someone, and they go, oh, that's what Jane was talking about. So yeah, you can never close it off because you feel hurt or you feel inadequate or embarrassed or whatever the feelings are. It's not about you. And yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's not about us at all, is it? It's just not about us.
Can I just add to that, Jess?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, I think if you go in and you share your story, say you've got 18 people coming, don't think, oh wow, 18 enrollments, or I'm going to get 10 enrollments out of this. Go in, share your story, share the message, and with the message everything else will flow. And it mightn't be that day, but I know I've had people come back to me, maybe due to financial things, or they haven't sort of had that aha moment at the time, and then they think back to the oils. So share your message and not the sales. The sales will come naturally.
Yeah, and it's about how you make them feel. So people will remember how you made them feel long after the workshop's finished. And yeah, we've had people, and I'm thinking a lot of these leaders here tonight have had people enroll 8-12 months later, and even after you may have written that lead off, they have people's lives are busy, and their interest will ebb and flow depending on their health concerns and what's happening with their family and in their life at that time. So yeah, love that. Don't take anything personally. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to wrap up and stop recording, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end after that. But I think tonight has been really, really good. It's not the actual nitty-gritty of say this, say this, say this in a workshop. It's more about the structure and getting your mindset right, and just being ready and keeping it simple, things like that. So hang on, I've lost you guys. Where'd you go? Okay. So definitely get your new builders and sharers to go back and watch the replay of this. And next week we are doing enrolling, which you might think, how do we do one whole session on enrolling? We're going to talk about the close. We're going to talk about the second enrollment, which is getting them onto LRP or helping them with LRP. And then the week after that is supporting. So all of the pipe series is super, super important, and you can't have one without the rest. So get your team to watch the replays, and they really need to start at the beginning. So I'm going to stop recording now.